Thank you. Okay.
You bet, Rory. And good evening.
Aw, thank you.
Didn't I make you laugh? Didn't I make you smile?
Hi friends, it's Rory, and today is another throwback review, this time on Avalon High by Meg Cabot. Avalon High was one of my favorite books when I was like 12, 13-ish. I checked it out of the library like 8 times. I really enjoyed it. That being said, I didn't like it upon reread. First things first, let me kind of summarize what Avalon High is about. So the story is about Ellie. She is the daughter of 2 medieval history professors, and right now they are taking a sabbatical because they are both writing books. Her mother is writing a book on the Lady of Shalott poem, and her father is writing a book on a medieval sword. And so they move away from their home to just outside of Washington, D.C. to focus on this. And Ellie is forced to go along. And when she gets to the town, she finds out that the town is very weird and that the King Arthur things that her parents are so interested in may be more relevant to her than she thought before. That sounds great. I am a big fan of King Arthur and King Arthur stories. The Magic Tree House is great, and it has things to do with King Arthur. Merlin's one of my favorite television shows of all time. It also has to do with King Arthur and King Arthur legends, but I didn't enjoy this. So let's break down some of the characters, because the thing is, this book involves reincarnation, and so to understand some of the things I have to say, I need to say the character and who they're supposed to represent in the reincarnation thing. You have your main character, Ellie. At first, people think that she is the Lady of Shalott, also known as Elaine of Astolat. She's actually named after her. Once again, her mother is writing a book on the poem, so there's a lot of things that make people assume that that's who she is, but in the end she actually turns out to be the Lady of the Lake. Then you have your wonderful King Arthur. His name is A. William Wagner. Quite a mouthful. Very white person name, but he goes by Will, and once again he represents King Arthur. Then you have Lance, who is Lancelot and Will's best friend. You have Jennifer, who's Guinevere, who is Will's girlfriend. You have Marco, who represents Mordred, who is Will's stepbrother. And then you have Mr. Morton, who represents Merlin, and who is a teacher at their high school. So now let's get into the meat and potatoes of this throwback review. I think the overall thing I can say about this is that this feels like a book that you will like the younger you are. Like, as a 12-year-old girl, I love this book. As a 26-year-old woman who has been through lots of different life stages and has learned a whole lot, and has read fantastic books, this ain't it, chief. Like, this book is not great. And there's a lot of reasons for that. So the one thing, there's Instalove all over the place in this book. Like, to the point where I was making fun of it, talking to my friend who I talk to books about. And I was like, there's so much Instalove in this book that I cannot believe that people even call Cinder and Kai Instalove in comparison to this. Once again, you know my feelings on Cinder and Kai. They are not Instalove. I don't care what anyone says. They're the best ship in the entirety of the Lunar Chronicles. Don't at me. But this isn't a book. This isn't a video about them. This is a video about Avalon High, and Avalon High is full of Instalove. So, the first time that Ellie even sees Will, she's already interested in him. Like, she she talks about how she feels a connection, and I'm like, girl, you don't know him. What the heck are you talking about? You feel a connection. And then the next time she sees him briefly. She hasn't even talked to him at this point. She sees him talking to Jennifer, and he looks at her and smiles. And then later, that chapter, he's coming over to her house because he looked her up in their student, like, encyclopedia where all the students are, and he goes over to their house and he has dinner there. And by chapter 6, she's using that L word, and I'm not talking about lesbians, I'm talking about love when she talks about Will. And I'm like, calm down. You don't know each other. You don't know this boy. Like, how are you saying that you love him? And it's supposed to be like, oh, she feels it in her soul because they're connected. And it's like, okay, and? No, too much. Too much. Like, this book is not long at all, and they are using the L word so quickly. And also just like, ugh. There's a part, the very end, where they kiss, and it was the worst kiss. But they kiss, and then they stop kissing, and Will is just like, oh, why haven't we done that before? And I'm like, because you had a girlfriend a day ago. What the hell are you talking about? So the Instalove is really bad. Another thing that's really, really bad in this is the I'm not like other girls trope, which I honestly really thought I was better than. So the second I saw that, or I heard it pop up when I was listening to the audiobook, I went, oh no, young 13-year-old me. I thought you were better than this, but it turns out I was a fool, and I was not better than it. I am so sorry, 13-year-old me. The internalized misogyny is real, and I'm sorry I forgot about it. But there's a lot of times where Ellie says things that are borderline, I'm not like other girls type of thing. Like, for example, there's parts where she talks about how girls want to be Disney princesses and all that jazz, and she uses the excuse of not liking medieval stuff, which I'm going to get back to because I actually do kind of like that stuff. But in general, she talks about how she uses that excuse to talk about how it doesn't make sense, and you shouldn't want to be a princess and all that jazz. And it comes across as very, I'm not like other girls. And as a result, there is a bit of girl hate, especially when it comes to Jennifer. She says things. See, the struggle with this is that Ellie and Jennifer have some connections, like they end up having a conversation after Will breaks up with Jennifer, and it's very mature, actually. Ellie is like, oh, you can't really hate Jennifer because, like, she knows she messed up and all that jazz. But at the same time, she constantly calls Jennifer stupid, and Jennifer is written to seem like an airhead and like, oh, she's just a dumb cheerleader. I hate that. I hate it. Girl hate and the I'm not like other girls trope also make it bad. Along with that, the romance is once again not good. Not only is it insta-lovey, but it's just not great in general. And they talk about how they have this connection, but I never really feel it. And it's like, what connection are you talking about? Because I don't see a connection between you two. And so I ended up not liking it. And if you know anything about me, you know that romances are one thing that I love in books. And if I don't like your romance, you're doing something wrong, because I like most of the romances that I come across. And I think another reason why I dislike the romance is because, with the exception of Ellie and Marco, and to a certain extent Mr. Morton, all the characters are one-dimensional. Will is a good boy who has never done wrong in his life. Jennifer is an airheaded cheerleader who is cheating on her boyfriend. Lance is an airheaded football player who is cheating with his best friend's girlfriend, they're not interesting. That's the point. They're not interesting. I have zero cares about A. William Wagner. And if I don't care about one half of the relationship, I don't care about the relationship. And it's just, okay. Okay, whatever. You guys are together. You've known each other for like 2 weeks, but whatever. It's fine. Whatever. That being said, let me get into some of the things that I did enjoy about Avalon High, because there were things that I liked. I really think that the cheating, because Jennifer and Lance are cheating together, and I really felt like it was handled with some maturity, like not fully handled, because to be fair, Will isn't really like shocked by it. In fact, he says that he kind of felt like he knew what was going on and he feels relieved to know it. But there is like some level of maturity in here. Like Jennifer talks about how she knew what she was doing is bad. And Ellie tells Will that if he's not, upset or disappointed or angry about the fact that they cheated, that he needs to let them know, because otherwise it just is causing a rift between them. But at the same time, it's not exactly accurate, because most of the time when there's cheating involved with something, and I hate cheating, one person or both people are still invested and they still care about the other, which causes more like heartbreak and stuff. And so even though I feel like it was handled maturely, it's not exactly accurate, and so that could be good or bad either way. Along with that, like I said, Ellie and Marco I feel are really, really good characters. Like the first time you meet Marco, you kind of feel for him. Like his father is dead, and it's possible that Will's father is the reason that he's dead, but his mother married Will's father and he feels some type of way about it. And then the end happens and it's like, whatever. It's stereotypical, but it's whatever. But you do kind of like, you feel things for him until he's clearly evil. And it's good and I like it. But also, like, Marco is clear punk emo discrimination, because there's legitimately a part in the book where some girl is just like, oh, but he's so emo and gothic and punk or whatever. I don't even care to remember the quote. I was like, rude. Emo punk guys are some of the best guys. What are you talking about? But anyways, and then Ellie, despite the fact that she insta-loves so hard, and she also has the I'm not like other girls thing, she felt at least 3D. Like she had struggles, and she had, part of her big thing is that she doesn't believe that this reincarnation thing is happening, but she still wants to stop it, and I felt that was very compelling. Along with that, once the actual like reincarnation King Arthur stuff starts, then it gets good. It's good. But that doesn't happen until the last third of the book. And so it's just like 2/3 of this book are dumb high schoolers doing dumb things. And then the King Arthur shit happens and it gets good. Just because that last third is okay doesn't mean that the 2/3 before it that weren't go away. I also really liked the Lady of Shalott poem bits that start at the beginning of each chapter. I genuinely really like the Lady of Shalott poem. It's cool that this bit of, historical literature is being put into a young adult, probably leans more towards middle grade book, so that younger generations can see it. The last thing is, despite everything, there were really funny bits in this book, like parts where I genuinely laughed out loud, like Kyrie. There's this thing where a running gag where Ellie constantly hates on the medieval times, and she talks about how lame they are and they're like super duper, and how everyone like romanticizes the medieval times when they really shouldn't, and talks about how like no one bathed and all this jazz. And as a history major who also likes to focus on, you know, kind of medieval timesy, like late medieval times, I enjoyed that because I feel the same way sometimes. You realize no one bathed. Everyone stank. There's shit in the streets. Like, it sucked. You should be happy that you live now. You have medicine. You have working bathrooms. People have deodorant. Now is a great time. I mean, now's not a great time with what is going on currently in our world. Felt that. I laughed a lot when she was like talking about that, besides the, you know, girl hate stuff. Another thing is there at the very end, after the entire thing with Marco, and it's, you know, seen that Will is King Arthur and all that jazz. He gets kicked out of his house, and he goes to Ellie's house. And Mr. Morton's there explaining things to Ellie's parents and all that jazz. And Will sees him, and he just goes, "Sir," because he's a teacher, and of course you would. And he just straight up bows to him and calls him sire, and Ellie just starts cracking up, and I started cracking up. It was really, really funny. So there are funny bits to this book. It's just everything else that sucks. So would I recommend this book to my nibblings when they reach the age where this book would be appropriate? No. No, I would not. Despite the fact that I enjoyed the King Arthur bits, and the last third of the book is okay, and it's a good kind of like introduction to the basic King Arthur legend, the girl hate and the I'm not like other girls trope and the Instalove is just too much, and so I would not recommend it. There are much better middle grade / young adult books that my nibblings can read. That is another throwback review. I don't think I'm gonna have one this month. Probably the next one you see will be late January, February-ish. And I may, you know, put up a poll on my Twitter to see which book I should read for my next throwback review. In the meantime, I hope that you had a great time with me today. As always, there's a link down below to where you can register to vote so that your voice is heard in our upcoming elections. Please, please register to vote. I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye!